are you, David? You okay?
I'm good, Ben. Thank you. You?
Yeah, good. How are you looking forward to this game? I take it it's going to be quite a serious challenge from Queen's Park.
Of course, it's an exciting game. We talk about trying to present different challenges. This is obviously a bit different again because you're further into a cup competition where obviously you're going against teams right up until the championship level. And this is obviously the sternest test that we'll have faced so far in the competition. But it's one that the players are really excited about, really looking forward to.
How important is this kind of exposure to young players, especially going up against these kind of experienced pros?
It's always important, of course it is. There's different ways you can develop, and obviously the lads are trying to get into our first team, which is obviously not an easy challenge. However, at the same time, they have to make sure along the way they build bridges, and they work themselves to a point where they can cope, and not just cope, but actually go and perform and make sure in the games at this type of level that they can show what level they can achieve as an individual, but obviously contribute to hopefully a really strong team performance and hopefully a positive result at the end of it as well.
There's been a lot of talk recently about maybe not enough Scottish players kind of getting through into the sort of first teams in the Scottish Premiership. Do you think that this competition can help kind of be a stepping stone towards that?
Absolutely. Again, it's back to that point where you speak about competitive football, talk about competitive leagues, etc. We would love that our players could be consistently challenged at this level, week in, week out. It's not something that the Scottish system has in place, but in the meantime, we've got this cup competition where they can do that. They can go and show what level they can achieve and build their own profile. Ultimately, we want these players to go and we want to perform as a team, of course we do. We want to win, of course we do. But at the same time, I want individuals to go and stand out and make sure that by the end of the game, by the end of the competition, that they get to a point where people are talking about them and what level they can achieve, and hopefully go beyond that of this cup competition as well.
Mm-hmm. Like Bailey Rice is probably one that has recently stepped up. Obviously, he came on against Nice as well. How proud were you to see him get those minutes? And how big a future do you think he has?
Listen, Bailey's a very talented football player. Everybody that's worked with him within the academy, we're obviously proud when you see him stepping into not just a Rangers first team game, but one in European competition where you're playing against some of the highest quality of players. So Bailey can show that he can cope with that. That's something he's been really looking forward to. He's very driven. He understands, he backs himself. He knows what he's good at. He knows where he can still continue to improve, which is an important bit as well. So, like everybody, I think we were all really, really pleased to see him with time and minutes on the pitch, and hopefully that continues.
Mm-hmm. Will you have him available for tomorrow still?
I think it's just approaching 2:00. I'm still to find out the exact squad. So I think like anything, we're here to facilitate what the first team need. The first team have had the game yesterday, and they've got the game again on Wednesday night. So first and foremost, they will prepare for that, and then amongst that, obviously, we'll have a chat about the group of players that will come to play in our game tomorrow night as well. And whatever one Bailey's going to be involved in, we'll obviously wait and see.
Yeah, I guess it's almost a win-win, because I take it you'd be happy if he was in with the senior squad anyway, because then that is kind of taking care of the job as well.
Absolutely, that's our main driver. I think anytime a young player gets a chance to be involved in the first team squad, and hopefully picking up minutes as well along that way, that's always a priority. If they're not, and the manager believes what's right for them for this week is that they go and pick up game time in our game, and what will be a very difficult game and a challenging game for us. But one, like I said to you, we'll hopefully go and show that what we're capable of doing as a group and obviously as individuals. Whatever one it falls in for Bailey and other players, then we'll prepare to get into that game and hopefully perform as a Rangers team should.
Brilliant. Thanks very much. Cheers, mate.
Thanks.
Hi, David. You've kind of snookered my first question, which was, what's your squad likely to be like? Are there any of them? You're obviously waiting back for the physios and doctors' reports, but are there any knocked out by disciplinary, or you get more or less a full squad to go with?
There's no suspensions for tomorrow night, which is good. The bit we're waiting on, it's less about injuries. It's more about just the manager deciding what he would like his group to look like leading towards their game, and then thereafter we're obviously governed by the overage rule as well, so we can only play 2 players that were born 2003 or older. The rest of those are 2004 would be eligible as far as the age is concerned, but thereafter it would be what the manager wants for his squad for leading towards his game in Wednesday night. So we're waiting on that, and I know it sounds like a very standard answer, but I can tell you it's definitely the truth.
In terms of your players, we were talking to Paul Nissel there, and you mentioned Bailey Rice, without putting too much pressure on the players, but there will be people attending this game. It'll probably be the first time that they've seen your current crop of players playing. Are there any players you'd particularly like to put the kiss of death on by pointing out for, for people to have a look at them?
I would like to think we've got some really strong players in our academy, and obviously we're looking at this particular group. You can look. There's been a lot of conversation and chat over the last weeks in regards to Finlay Curtis in terms of his output and goals, but Finlay's much more than that. He contributes in different ways, but he is obviously shown to be a very capable finisher when it comes to those moments. You've spoken about Paul Nissel, who's had a very prominent role with the B team up until this point this season. Bailey's role has been intermittent based on first team involvement, so I think there's a number of players in the group who could go and catch people's eye tomorrow night. I think that's clear, and obviously this is quite a high profile game in terms of the competition, in terms of the level that it's at, so anyone, it's unfair of me to go through individuals right through the group. Obviously you've named one or two. I've mentioned Finlay based on what has been a public conversation with him recently, and he was also involved in the squad the other night against Nice. But there's a number of them, I think, in these games where the challenge for them is to go and show who they are, what they're capable of doing. Basically to provoke conversation about them. I think at the end of the game, if people are talking about them in a really positive light, that's important for us. And hopefully the contributors, as I said to you, what will be a good performance and a positive result as well.
When asked, Paul, about the style of the team, and you kind of mentioned, it's based on passing and whatever. One of the, not a criticism, but one of my observations in watching, say, the under-19s and teams like that in previous years was that it was good football, but it wasn't particularly real football, if you know what I mean. It was done in a certain idiom. In terms of facing Queen's Park, you're up against a team who are in a kind of blood and snotters league, if you want to put it that way. There'll be, I would imagine, a high level of physicality, a higher level of skill. Do you feel that the B team, as you are just now, has been tested enough?
Well, we'll find out tomorrow night in terms of what level of test Queen's Park can bring. But I know, as you've touched on there's a realism about men's football that it's difficult to replicate at academy level. Of course it is. We want to try, and that's why when we're doing the B team, as best we can, we try and go against different levels. We've played against men's team already this season, travelling south and to play a couple of teams down there, and obviously the cup competition so far. But I do agree with you, there's a streetwise element to playing against men, that football, for want of a better phrase, football is not always enough. There's got to be something in a mental sense that you can cope with that sometimes can only be there when you go in a real environment. So you're going against a championship team, one that's very comfortable in terms of the championship and the league that they're in. We know they're going to bring a challenge in terms of the technical levels you've touched on, but also there's going to be a mental challenge in there as well, which I think can be the difference maker, Mark, when it comes to trying to take players towards that next level, beyond academy football, that you can deal with competition, you can deal with men, you can deal with streetwise aspects of what the game can look like. So getting more exposure to that in these cup competitions, where ultimately it's about winning and going to the next round, is a good challenge for them.